Alright everyone, we start off today talking about the death of al-zawahiri over in Afghanistan. He was droned, so now the former leader of al-Qaeda, now he's probably just bits of bone and dried blood, and they might find an eyeball lying a half a mile away or something, so it is good news anytime that a scumbag like that dies, but I've got some questions here with regards to this particular story. First and foremost, doesn't it seem like a little bit of an astroturfed legacy media campaign suspiciously close to the midterms to try to boost Biden's support? I think it doesn't necessarily work, but it's definitely, I can't imagine that it's coincidental. It's sort of like how Manchin just happened to culminate his secret dealings behind closed doors with regards to the reconciliation bill, right at a time where if you were to implement it literally tomorrow, the inflation wouldn't show up until a couple of months after the midterms. It's all of these things are coincidental, everyone. There was no, they didn't hold off on the strike after knowing where al-zawahiri was for 6 months or something like that. That's never happened within the realm of executive politics. Beyond that, though, I don't see much of a real reaction from the public. I see a lot of legacy media articles. Maybe this speaks volumes to the death of their audience. You know, when the average age of a person watching your TV program is already geriatric, you might have problems with audience retention. I have another question. Why was al-zawahiri in Afghanistan? Does this not violate the agreement that was held between the U.S. and Taliban and other parties? What happened is that Joe Biden fucked up so badly that now the Taliban realizes doesn't really have a potential stable partner in the U.S., so I guess they invited in an al-Qaeda member. I guess that al-Qaeda is back in Afghanistan. You'll remember that they had been largely withdrawn from the battlefield under the Trump administration. ISIS, Obama's JV team that repeatedly attacked targets in the West, they had some problems too. Now they're roaring back to life because we have a frenetic foreign policy. The fact that he wasn't killed in Pakistan or something like that should raise alarm bells. You see almost nobody mentioning that fact in the news reports that are basically, it's like, yeah, the top man in al-Qaeda died. Biden. Here's Biden with his arms folded watching the strike. Biden commanded it to happen. Biden praises the CIA for its intel role. Biden. I've got another problem with this. We have supposedly withdrawn from Afghanistan. Supposedly we're not really doing military shit there anymore. So why are we still fucking around there? It's not like removing this particular goofball from his position by vaporizing him is going to stop al-Qaeda from having a leader anyway. It's not going to make any difference. If anything, there might be retaliatory strikes on some of the Americans that I think are still stranded in Afghanistan fundamentally. They could strike marginally friendly tribal targets within Afghanistan. They could strike targets in Pakistan. They have this capability. Al-Qaeda had taken a backseat for years and was embattled by some of the locals when Donald Trump was president. Now they're all working together again like in the bad old days, and we wonder why this dude crosses the border again, blatantly violating the Doha Agreement. There's no reason to stick to the agreement. Biden violated the agreement that he had made on the withdrawal date, and if you look at anything about the cultures in that area, if you violate the agreement, they can violate it at any time and do it with a smile, and they don't care. And also, when you're dealing with al-Qaeda, do you really think that they give a goddamn about your fucking agreement with the Taliban? They don't care. Taliban is marginally able to work with them. I think they keep them around as a necessary evil more than anything else because they don't want ISIS moving in. Even al-Qaeda was afraid of those fuckers for a while. It was like, well, we're not working with ISIS anymore. They keep killing kids and eating their hearts and stuff. They're a little bit too crazy for us. It's about the realm of Afghan politics at this point. There is no secular government there anymore. You know, the journalists have warned that the Taliban has definitely reinstituted their severe moral code. Somehow this is a major victory. But the major victory would have been we went through with the proper date, withdrew our military assets, which we left billions behind of, in Afghanistan when we withdrew initially. That was Trump's plan. Biden asterisk administration begins. He says, oh, fuck that. Apparently decides to move ahead the timeline because we need more time to get things out, and then doesn't even get him out of the country, leading to the infamous attack on the air base there, in which a number of U.S. Marines were slaughtered. This is just Joe Biden's way of using a very expensive the Hellfire missile effectively to try to affect the midterm outcomes. It's a ruse. It's not really, it shouldn't be top news. We should still be talking about the economy. We're in a recession. We shouldn't really be operating on foreign shores any more than we have to anyway, because we just don't have the money to do so. If you want to talk about Biden's effect on the military, look at the short staffing that they have. They're expecting tens of thousands of military positions not to be filled because no one's signing up as recruits. And I'm wondering why nobody would want to join the military right now. You mean that I don't want to bust ass and get yelled at 5 a.m. and march 10 miles and make virtually no money in order to, what? To fight for someone with pink hair who will tell me about how privileged I am and how terrible it must be that I'm in the world? Nobody's going to sign up for that shit. You don't have that good old boy camaraderie like you had back in the old days in the military. Yes, I realize that was mostly a propaganda tactic to get more recruits. But to some degree it exists. It became self-fulfilling. That's Biden's role. Biden's role in the military is warmongering and antagonizing mostly, or ignoring issues where we should be focusing on. So you give tens of billions of dollars to the Ukrainian government, even though it's completely unaccountable, it's engaged in money laundering, and we know that it does this. It was widely reported on before Russia invaded, you'll notice. While American people are having massive economic problems, and then we have soaring crime in our own country and an open border, but we're dicking around still in Afghanistan. Why don't we just stop operating in Afghanistan? If al-Qaeda wants to move into Kabul and erect a hotel there for all of its members so that they can party with the Taliban and eat Russian caviar and stuff, who gives a damn? It's not even our fucking country. It's none of our concern. You're talking about a backwards, landlocked, sub-third world country with virtually no functional economy that doesn't involve growing opium or killing people. Why do we give a fuck? This whole, well, and Biden shtick like, whoa, I told you we would find you eventually, doing the strongman, take him behind the woodshed and do push-ups, Jack sort of thing. It's just sleazy. At some point, it's just goddamn pathetic. This 80-year-old dude is trying to talk a big game about how tough he is and sort of like standing up as a relic of an America that no longer exists. Like the pre-Nixon era, like America. Well, we could be proud of our country. We can get you anywhere in the world that we want to. Why should we be in a situation where we have to conduct these strikes in the first place? It was the United States' own foreign policy being a mess that wrecked Afghanistan in the first place. And no, I don't mean, by the way, in the Bush-Obama era. It didn't help, certainly. No, I mean you have to go back to the Carter and Reagan administrations. That's when things really became problematic. There's a picture of Osama looking like a fucking goddamn reggae hippie back in the 1970s in Kabul. It was good times. Same with Iran. Iran was developed. Libya, until we got involved, was doing fairly well. And it's because they were doing fairly well that we decided to kill Gaddafi, collapsing their entire civilization, to the point where Libya is so fractious and lacks central authority to such a great degree, it's no longer generally even counted in international statistics. You'll notice Libya is usually grayed out. No census worker is going to go into Libya. They're going to go to Tripoli and they're going to start talking to all of the tribal warlords there about how many people are in the nation. The problem is you get a different answer from all of them because they don't consider anyone outside of their tribe to be human. So they'll say, well, we've got 5 million humans in Libya and 18 million pigs, or something to that effect. Thanks, Joe. Really cool. This symbolic strike will ultimately mean absolutely nothing. That's about all. Peace out.